We are ready to Warhammer. I wanted to show off something that's pretty cool. Welcome, everybody. It's Wednesday. It's Warhammer Wednesday. Yes, this is still... it's still the Impulsor. I have had zero time outside of streaming to work on anything these last couple weeks, so it has taken a while. I did put I magnetized the base. So with these new hover grav vehicles, you get this newfangled base where it's a two-part plastic, and there's a spot in the middle where you can easily glue in a magnet. And then you put the pieces together. It has these little notches. So the way it works is it turns. One way you turn it, it's flat on top. And if you turn it the other way, it gives you an angle. Hello. So in theory, if you did it right, if it was flat, it would be flat. And if you did it at an angle, it would be at an angle. So the magnet I put on works pretty well. Spin it, you can play with it. I'll have to see when I get the other bits on how well it balances. If I need to, I could always put some more. I could add some more little magnets around this one or double it up. You have lots of options when it comes to magnets. Yeah, definitely. I will admit that at times when this has been near me, when I've been doing some other work, I have just been spinning it for fun. That may have happened once or twice. My wife surprised me a few days ago. She had to go to IKEA to get something. I don't know exactly what, but she bought me and then built for me. Oh no. Am I even going to be able to show it? Well, you'll have to imagine. But it's a box with... Oh, shoot, how can I... I'll have to show this when I have this straight on. But the top has two opening compartments. And compartments like that. I don't know. It's hard. Yeah, it's a hobby box. And it's going to be great to put all my paints in. Because right now all my paints are just sort of in boxes and trays on the ground. So this... Yeah, and it opens up. So you have... Yeah, I can't show this. It's just too big to show right here. But yeah, if anybody's interested, I can find out what the name of it is at IKEA, so you can find it. Andy, thank you so much. 7 months. Woo woo. That's right. It's so big I can't even fit it all on camera. But yeah, it's super cool. Now I just got to load all my paint in it and figure out how to arrange everything inside, which will be fun as well. Get some of that organization going. Sardas, did you see the new Night Lords article that went up this morning? I posted a link in the Discord. And as I said, if you are into the grim and the dark, it doesn't get much grimmer and dark. Well, it's they put the lore and rules for the Night Lords Kontakar Terminators, or however you pronounce it. So it's nothing really new, but just some fun stuff. So the Impulsor. What if you're into the Dawn? Dawn's good too. So this piece fits right on here, and this is where you add the special stuff you want on the Impulsor. Yoink. And again, I'm building for 2, so everything I do from this point on, I'll be doing 2 of them. So I'll have the options to put the Impulsor parts on my Gladiator, which I can then run as a second Impulsor if I felt like it. Yes. Yeah, so we haven't talked a lot about the Night Lords. They were one of the original Space Marine Legions, Oh, how do you begin talking about the Night Lords? Well, remember how most of the planets in Warhammer are crappy, to put it bluntly. The Night Lords come from a place called Nostromo, not Nostromo, like in Aliens, but Nostromo. And it's, in some ways, it's the worst planet. It's a planet of perpetual darkness and smog and crap. It's a planet of billions of people, most of whom live in absolute squalor. Most people have to resort to cannibalism, and they're in gangs. And of course, there are rich people who live way up at the top of all of this, and they get to see the sky and have a decent enough life. But for most people, it's just every day is a living hell. So the Primarch that ends up landing on this planet is Conrad Kurz, who is just the worst. He lands there. He comes out of the pod. He's a little baby. He's just by himself. Nobody, usually on the other planets, somebody finds the Primarch and then raises him in some way at least. Have to or get to resort to cannibalism. Well, we actually get stories that take place there about children cannibals and children having to fight and murder their friends and eat them, which is pretty rough. Yeah, so Conrad, he doesn't have parents, he doesn't have anybody. He grows up alone on the streets, and he sees all of this horrible stuff around him, and he doesn't even have a name. His name comes a lot later. He decides that there needs to be some sort of justice. But his version of justice, because he's a child and doesn't know any better, is anybody he sees doing something bad, something wrong, he kills them. And he's this mythical figure in the dark. And in fact, he goes by the name Night Haunter. That is his name. Like I said, he'll get an actual name later. Conrad. So he starts this war on crime. And yes, this is the character who is known as Batman. Or yeah, Judge Dredd is another good way of looking at it. But he's known as the Batman of the Warhammer universe. And he carves out a little kingdom where, again, crime is essentially outlawed, because if you commit crimes, the Night Haunter will appear out of the darkness and murder you. It does work as much as that can work. And then of course the Emperor shows up, takes him away to be... Because what do you want to do with a crazy psychopath like that? Well, you give him an entire army of psychopaths at his beck and call. So for his Space Marines, he recruits from that same world, and all of his Space Marines are the worst criminals who otherwise he would murder them or they'd be going to jail, and those become his Space Marines. And they are just as bad and as horrible as you can imagine, and they commit all sorts of atrocities on every battlefield that they go to. And yeah, it's rough. Conrad also hates them because they're criminals, right? So he never gets along with his own people. Conrad he's only really able to survive and thrive because, like a lot of the Primarchs, he has a lot of psychic potential, and his psychic powers come in the form of prescience. He can see what's about to happen, so he can always survive whatever is going to occur, even and including fighting with other Primarchs fairly frequently. Yeah, it's not fun. He sees it's, yeah, he sees bad stuff that's going to happen more often than not. Ooh. It reminds me of Raistlin in Dragonlance, where like every person he looks at, he sees how they're going to age and die. It's sort of, yeah, it's that kind of style. Yeah, the worst possible outcome, but it does enable him to survive a lot, a lot of otherwise really bad stuff. And yeah, he goes so crazy that at one point he's off with his Space Marines and they're doing their Space Marine stuff, and he decides, you know what, my planet is just it's unsavable. Too many criminals. It's too crappy. And he goes back and he just nukes his own planet. You know, as you do. His Night Lords, they do become traitors. Conrad, I mean, it was pretty much a given that he was going to turn traitor. He hates just about everybody. Horus at least gave him some stuff to do, so that was, you know, nice for him. Yeah, except that one time he saw his birthday party. That's right, Emily. Yeah, and Eridan's, yes, he foresees crimes. He kills any criminals. It's pretty brutal. Yeah, yeah. He fought. He's, like I said. He almost Rogel Dorn of the Imperial Fists tried to restrain and talk to him once, and Conrad almost killed him. The other Primarchs had to save him from his brother. He found out that Vulcan couldn't be killed, so he designed all of these elaborate tortures and death traps for him. He spent a long time trapped inside one of his brother's spaceships and couldn't be found. Yeah, he's just a really, really all around bad guy. So Vulcan is what they call in the Warhammer universe a perpetual. And perpetuals are, it's a complicated, and I find it an annoying subject. They're humans who are some form of mutant or something. It's never been fully explained. But yes, perpetuals, they can die, but then they come back to life. Essentially, right, allegedly humans, they're probably some form of, I don't know. They're not transhumans. They might be post-humans, but they've also been around forever. The Emperor, in theory, is a perpetual, which also raises all sorts of questions. That yes, he's on the Golden Throne, but if someone were just to unplug him and let him die, would then he come back to life and be more powerful than before? Who knows? But yeah, Vulcan is one of the most famous of these characters who are perpetual. So yes, you can kill Vulcan, but then he comes back to life. And again, there are several of these characters, and they all just raise a million questions, even within the universe. How does this work? What are the rules? And they change from time to time. In some stories, people have created artificial perpetuals, and then they can take it away. I don't like those stories because they don't make enough sense. But what are you gonna do? And that ties into some of the more goofy lore about the Emperor, and about one of the ideas is that in ancient Earth times, all of the shamans got together and sacrificed themselves to empower him, and he's, you know, been alive since the Stone Age, and it's, I don't know, it gets kind of dumb. But Vulcan's cool. He's a good guy. Oh yeah, Erdansk. There's been a lot of discussion because basically, at least within the Imperium, of course, the alien stuff is separate, but within the Imperium, most of the issues and storylines come down to daddy issues, for sure, and sibling rivalry. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, boring Vandal Savage. That works. Although Vandal Savage is often pretty boring himself. Okay, so what we're doing here. So remember, this is the Impulsor as standard is a transport. It can fit some dudes here in the back. You know, fit. As standard, it can have. It's got some hatches on the top. It can have a little stubber here. It gets sponson weapons on the sides. These little things here. You've got a couple options. And then the way it works is it has this optional plate that goes on the top, and then you can attach different things here. So that's what we're building now. Your options are, and again, these all cost points depending on how you build it out. So there's an Iron Hail Sky Talon Array, which is this cool little turret thing, basically for shooting at any enemy flyers. There's the Bellicatus Missile Array, so missile launcher turret. Then there's the Shield Dome, which is a pretty cool looking piece that gives the tank an invulnerable save. And then there's an Orbital Comms Array, little like dish there that does something else. I don't remember. So here are the different options. So I need to build each one, and then I have to figure out how I'm going to do the connections or the magnetizing. Because they give you, so like the shield goes on part 76, but also the comms array goes on 76, and both of the weapons go on part 77. So I'll have to see how these plug in, if they can just stick in and stay, or if I have to magnetize each one of these. Hopefully not. Hopefully they can just sort of stick in without having to do all the magnets. But we shall see. 64. Yeah, no, there have been some good depictions of Vandal Savage. He's just, I don't know, he's kind of boring. Often. Right, I need part number 64, which I thought was this one. 61. It has to be, right? Yeah, it has to be that part. Weird, I don't see the number. Oh well. Wait, I missed something. Oh, Meowcat's got your basilisk parts. Awesome. Take pictures. Oh, Zardoz, that's unfortunate. Sorry to hear about your airbrush issues. We've been looking at airbrushes. I don't know. It's stuff. Oh, you did buy it? Okay. Well, my wife bought an airbrush for her stuff. We can't share because hers will be used for soaping business, and we're not going to run acrylic paints through that. But at least I'll get to practice with hers a little bit, and then figure out what I want to get. Rabid Wombat, I just assume now anything that is being sent to you is going to take extra time and have extra hassle. Now these two weapon systems do share the same main body of this thing, so I also have to figure out what I need to do to make that happen. So essentially it's a box, and then there's a piece that goes on the back, and then the weapon that goes on the front. Yeah, so I'll have to see if those just, again, if they can just plug in and out. That would be ideal. Everything else so far on these kits has been pretty easy just to pop in and out. So I'm hoping these do the same. The Iwata Neo kit is a bargain on Amazon right now. Ooh, I will definitely check that out. Yeah, that's one I've several people have talked about that as a good starter, if nothing else. Okay, so all right. 62 and 63, and then the two gun barrels. I'm assuming that's these. 63. Oh, no, I see. They separated things out. It's annoying. Yeah, so essentially the back part of the missile launcher gets the vents, like the exhaust basically, and then the back part of the guns is just this piece. So if I have to glue one in, I don't mind just putting on the exhaust, because that's fine. If that was the back part of the guns also, it wouldn't really matter. Maybe I'll do one of each, because again, I am building two, so it doesn't, not everything has to be all optional. $70 off. Oh wow, okay, that's cool. Zardoz, give us your family's contact information. We'll tell them what to do. Or what not to do. They failed at the list. Well, I mean, did they try? Stuff is complicated. I don't know. Yeah. I know the feeling though. Even if you try to be really specific and be like, okay, this is the thing. Even that can be screwed up. I feel your pain. I do. Ooh, Raptors and Warp Talons just dropped in points, so they're much more playable now. Or so I've heard. There's another YouTube that I watch, Auspex Tactics. I've talked about him before. He's from somewhere in England, and he's got just a really distinct way of speaking. Not so much the accent, although that's part of it, but the cadence of how he talks. It's very interesting. But he did a brief video like the units that got the biggest point decreases with the new FAQs. That was interesting. Some stuff for Tyranids, and I think Drukari got the biggest buffs, you could say, with the point drops. Yeah, Rabbit Wombat, you can certainly just read the text and skip through it, but I have to admit, I do like listening to that guy talk. Ooh, I know what you need more than you. That's, yeah. That's generally not fun. And it's even less fun when they're right. But more often than not, they're not right. I understand that. Now, the really ideal thing is if I just bought enough of these that I could build each one with the weapon system and then not have to worry about swapping parts. But I'm not going to buy a million of these. I have yet to play this unit also, which I'd like to one day. One day we'll play again. Ooh, they just announced that Disneyland is going to be the site of a major vaccine distribution center, so that's cool. Or, I mean, the Disneyland parking lot, anyway. I can only imagine what that place is going to be like once they start letting people in again. It's going to be crazy. Yeah, Zardoz, your article is great. I love those breakdowns. Yeah, get vaccinated by Mickey Mouse. Hey, whatever it takes to get more people vaccinated, I'm all for it. It is, man, I am so excited to get the vaccine, and then I hear about people who are like, nah, I don't know if I'm going to get it. I don't know when I'm going to get it. God damn it. Go, as soon as your number comes up, go and get the vaccine. It's the only way we're all going to get out of this together. And again, I'm fully aware that there are people out there who won't be able to get the vaccine for medical purposes and other things. And that's even more reason why the rest of us need to go and get it as soon as possible. The selfishness of people and the refusal, just absolute refusal to listen to science and medicine is... Oof. It kind of drives me crazy. Yeah, and Zardoz, before I read your thing, I did not realize that actual typhus was in that box. That's crazy. At some point I need to change probably put a new blade on this. I've been using this one for a while. It still works, but it could be a little sharper. So anyway, I am very, very much pro-vaccine. Very much looking forward to getting it. I know friends who are in the medical profession who've gotten it already. They said it was easy, it was fine. I don't know specifically which one they got, but yes, exactly, Savage Punch. We need to be together, working for humanity. That's kind of fun, picking your own anniversary. Hey, why not? Okay, almost done with these. I can actually start building. My son was obsessed for a little while about the fact that we don't know our cat's birthday. And he was very upset about that. And we tried to explain, well, we got the cat from a shelter and they don't know her birthday. Nobody knows her birthday. But it really affected him that we don't know her birthday. I'm sorry, we can just pick our own. That was not good enough for him. Okay, so with this on, let's see what the back pieces look like. Alright, so unfortunately, it's not going to stay on there. Maybe? Once this is glued? Possibly. What's the other one look like? Huh. Maybe. As long as I glue this on nice and tight, it might stick in the... Oh. It might stick in the back. Oh, stop. And then the front... Let's see, the front goes on the outside. Oh, it plugs in. I like that. Let's see about the missile. Ooh, I think it might work. Now, the only thing is... I need to see how it's going to attach to the base for it. Because this is where I would need to magnetize. And if I do need to magnetize, I want to put the magnet inside. If I have the option. Okay, so... No, so just sort of... okay, that's not easy. So it has... Oh, I need both hands for this. Okay, there we go. So see how it has a little roller? And it fits in there, and then you can angle it. But you do have to glue that. Oh, no, that's fine. Again, because I'm swapping out the parts on top. All good. Yes. Okay, so I'm going to glue these together. And then see if the pieces fit. Okay, no, I got it. We're good. It's good. Yeah, I could tack it, but I don't think I need to. I think I can glue just this part and then be able to swap out the weapons. And because I'm swapping out the weapons, I can glue this housing down to the turret mount. Yeah. Okay. We're good. Oh, Savage Punch. Yeah, that's a good point. If you get a cat who's very, very young, then yeah, the birthday could actually be important. Yeah, we got our cat who was already a young adult, but she was an adult, so we didn't have to worry about that kind of stuff. But that's true. There are cases where it would be you would need to know more specifically the age. Okay, so let those dry. And then over here, the only other thing to do is to plug these, the gun barrels into the front of this bracket. Oh, Zardoz, that's cool. Yeah, what is the meta? It's something you should ignore at all costs. That's what the meta is. Say, I'm going to define it and explain what it is, and then you should never worry about it ever again. Iron Hail Sky Talon Array is go. And number 2. Cool. Those over there. Wait. That's true. Yeah, you could explain a local playing group. Yeah, that I hesitate to use the word meta for like how your buddies like to play, but yeah, I suppose that is a good way of describing it. That's true. Excuse me. All right, next is Shield Dome. Yes, let us Shield Dome. After I get this part off. Okay. Almost done. I know it doesn't necessarily look like it because I have all these pieces that are separate that I can put on and off. So now I should say, when it comes to painting this, right? I've got all these parts, so what I'll need to do is take off everything. So basically just like this, and then I will primer this. And then I need to get something where I can stick a bunch of like toothpicks in it and use tack or something else to hold all of these parts and just prime all of the parts. And then again, have all of this out on the table when I do painting, so everything is the same color, or at least, you know, matching however I decide to do the color details. But yeah, when you have all these parts that are interchangeable or removable, you just gotta paint those too. But again, do it separately so that you can have everything to go together or take on and off. So it'll be a process. And again, a lot of people do their actual models this way, even without optional and removable or interchangeable parts. So even for, I mean, some people do it even for figures this size. They'll build the main body, but they won't put on the arms, so they can get paint in all of those hard to reach areas. They'll do what's called, in this world, it's called sub-assemblies. You build only to the point where things would start exactly as ours. Yeah, you build your pieces only to the point where one part would cover up another part, and then you stop and you build that separately. And then you prime and paint all of those things separately so you can get to every single panel, every single detail, and then you glue them together afterward. Hey, Maxine Robin. I do not typically do things that way. but there are lots of people who do. And more power to them. Maybe one day I'll care enough and have enough skill that that it would make a difference for me to do stuff like that. But at this point, it's just not necessary. One, two, three, four. Okay, so now with this piece, right, that's separate from the base. Actually, let's get the comm array pieces as well while I'm at it. And then except for one last antenna, that should be everything. Where are you? There you are. And is that it? Remember, folks, always check your sprues. Make sure you have all of your parts. Okay, cool. Although, you know what? I have been keeping my sprues afterwards, just to have extra plastic around in case I need it for basing. Oh, there's that wild man that I watch on Twitter who creates things out of sprues and sprue plastic. Just so much creativity out there. He's another one who, in a positive way, he talks funny. He has very funny mannerisms and speech patterns and slang terms he uses for things. It's pretty great. Another UK fellow. Oh, that was interesting. Hopefully I'm still live. It looked like there was a little bit of a hiccup in the old intertubes. Yeah, no, that's a good point too, Zardoz. Some people, some truly crazy people, paint the pieces on the sprue and then cut them out and glue them together. That I don't understand. But I have seen people actually do that. And Zardoz, I know that's not exactly what you're referring to, but I've seen people actually do that. I would just worry about all these connector points where you're cutting things off and having to trim, and it just seems like the amount of extra work that could cause you would not be worth it. On the other hand, it would probably look really cool, especially on something big, if every piece was painted and you had essentially the whole thing all done. That would be cool, but oof. Yeah, Savage Punch, exactly. Yeah, I can only just imagine the amount of cleanup and after work you would need to do on something like that. But hey. And why some people do that is because, like I said, the amount of time and preparation I'm going to need to do with all these little pieces to prime them, compared to that, it certainly would seem easier just to prime basically a tray of the parts that are still attached to here. So I can understand that mentality, but then the actual painting is on the sprue. That I don't. I can't get behind that. All right, another sprue done. Okay, cool. Get rid of those. Yeah, and there are times certainly when you have parts on the sprues that are super teeny tiny, and that it could be easier just to pop the paint on that way. Yeah, I can certainly see cases where it would be useful. I cannot imagine a world in which I would do an entire model or something really big that way. No, thank you, Emily. I sometimes worry that that this gets too boring and tedious, especially with something like this where there's a lot of little parts, and I cut them all out at once, and then I got to go through and do all the cleanup. But I'm glad that there's some at least viewable aspect to it. Of course, I know you're all here for the scintillating conversation and the witty banter. As I told Andy during his stream the other night, with all the stuff that's going on with DMCA, I'm deathly afraid of playing music on anything. So I'll just talk. That way I never have to worry about copyright strikes. And I have children, so I'm used to talking forever. No quiet. No silence. I always have to fill it up with noise. Ooh, you know what? I didn't keep track of which... Well, that could come back to bite me. These all have to fit together, and I forgot to see if there was like a rhyme or reason to it. I'm sure it'll be fine. Uh-oh. Maybe. Yeah, I just realized, because there are 4 different pieces that fit together like this. Yeah, it'll be fine. I can figure it out. I'm smart. Hey, maybe that's another reason to paint on the sprue. That way when you cut it off, you'll keep better track of what part goes where. Zardoz, you would think that. We'll see. We'll see when we get to it. Okay. Almost done. Oh, there's also a new regimental standard up today for guardsmen fighting alongside Dark Angels, and what to say, what not to say. It's pretty funny. I wonder who writes the Games Workshop, like their sillier comedic stuff. If that's just the normal Black Library authors, or if they have other people work on that. Oh yeah, Builder S. Necromunda models are really intricate, or the ones I've seen at least. They're also very cool. And also the intricacies and the options, that's why through Forge World they've been able to offer so many upgrade kits for those models. Heads and weapons and arms and you name it. Probably an intern. Giving nothing away. Well, should I say? I probably shouldn't say anything. Never mind. Forget I said anything. Certain things you just can't really talk about. Okay, all parts cut out and cleaned. 20 parts for a single mini. Yikes. now we're in Robotech territory. Well, Palladium version at least. All right, these should be dry. So let's see. So I'm hoping that this will... Oh, look at that. Look at that. That's cool. Missile back in. That one doesn't stay. Alright. But the fronts should work. So missile front. Good. Gun front. Good enough. Mostly. But again, even if a part barely holds together, remember too that when I prime it, there's going to be a little bit of extra material all around, theoretically on every side. So that will actually help in a thing like this to be able to push it together, and it should hold a little bit better, because again, there'll be just a little bit more material in there to attach it. Now I don't like that the back part just falls off, so I am going to glue it on. And again, here is where you get to the rule of cool, because technically, mechanics wise, does it matter if the back of this has a part that looks like this or a part that looks like this? No, it doesn't matter. So you just say, well, which one do I think looks cooler? And then you put that one on. Now again, because I'm building two versions of this and I have parts that I can swap out extra, I'm going to do one with the vents and one with the non-vents, whatever you want to call that piece. And then I'll have even more options. It is interesting that that piece does fit in better. Maybe I just need to angle it. I don't know if that works better. Let's try the other one. I'd rather not glue them in. No. Maybe the pieces are slightly... Yeah, that one just comes right off. Yeah. Also, if I can cut down on the amount of just extra little pieces I'm going to have floating around, that's also probably a good idea. So I'm going to glue on one of each and just be done with it. Oh, I dropped it. Okay. Whew. Zarda, did you put that in your hobby instructions? The very important note: don't drop your pieces. Don't cut them off the sprue and have them go flying across the room. Try to do your hobbying over a floor surface that's a different color than your plastic pieces. Okay. So I have one that looks like that, one that looks like that. And these will be extra parts, extra bits that now I can use for other projects, terrain, etc. Okay. And I will glue those on there. Okay. So that stays over there. Now, let's figure these things out. So these little orbital comms array dishes. Builderus, you lost a neck today and you made your kids find it? Oh my god, that's what kids are for. I always have my kids. I say, Benjamin, come in here. Help me find this. Okay, so these are just little comms array dishes. They're pretty easy, just 2 parts. There we go. Okay. It's fairly delicate, but that works. Okay, let's figure out how to put these silly things on that I didn't keep track of the parts. Oi. Alright, I suppose first I should match up and figure out which piece is which. So I've got 2 of those, 2 of those, 2 of those, and 2 of those. Okay, cool. So they are all different. That's good. Let's see, can I find the pictures? Interesting. So it shows me that this piece goes on one side. Oh, I see. So it goes over each quadrant. This piece goes on the opposite side. And then the other ones... Nope. Aha, okay. I think I got it. Oh. Okay, pretty sure it goes like that. That lines up, that lines up. Yes! Okay, I figured it out. Boy, these things just, man. Alright, this should work. Needs very little glue just to get these to stick on the... I don't want to use too much so the glue shows, but it should cover up pretty well. Okay. Alright, that works. Alright, now just line up the other one. Nope. Should be that way. Yeah, okay, cool. Okay, and then once this is glued, then I just have to see how they attach to the base mount, and then I'll be done. Very exciting. Okay. Cool. So now we got 2 of those. Now again, the shield domes and the orbital comms array use this same piece. So I have to see. I'm hoping they plug in. Oh yeah, that's good. Yes, it plugs in nice and securely, so I don't need to glue those. Fantastic. And the only other thing is we have a couple of extra antenna parts. So according to the instructions, it says to glue one of these right here onto the back. And again, there's no actual place for it to go. There's just an empty area here, and it just says like stick that on anywhere. I don't know if I'm gonna do that. I'm just gonna leave that off. Certainly don't need it. And then there's a part on here. So all of these extra pieces attach here, and then it tells you that if you're using the comms array, to put this piece right there. Give it a little bit, give it a little bit of extra flair. I don't know. I'm going to leave it off because thankfully that part also does plug in really nice and tight, so I don't have to worry about gluing it. Leave it as an option. All right, let's see what this thing looks like with all of the parts stuck onto it, shall we? Remember which way this all goes. All right, this is what we've been waiting for. I suppose one of these days I should build my what is it, repulsor. Got one of those to build. That's the bigger one. Pandar, thank you so much for the resubscription. I appreciate that. How are you doing? Okay, so we've got the top on. Let's put on... Oh, no, that's right. I just have to glue these on here. That's right, because these have to be glued because they are rotatey. So I'm going to glue them on at a pretty good angle. One of them is for shooting at things that are flying, and the other part, and the other one is shooting missiles at things further downfield. So they can both be glued, like I said, at a pretty good angle. Zarda says, I think the rear part might get in the way of the Gladiator turret assembly. Oh, yeah. No, for sure. Yeah, the Gladiator part fits over that back section. So, yes, I will leave it off. I just need to hold this for a second for it to lock into place. Should work. There we go. See, slowly but surely, all of the little pieces combine to fewer little pieces. I haven't checked the meta recently to see which is the optimal build for your Impulsor. I know people really like... yeah, it's like a demented Voltron. I know people really like the shield dome, because typically when you're dealing with tanks in Warhammer, usually they have a 3-up save. So if you're shooting at them with something heavy, you know, they have a decent save. It's the same save as an actual Space Marine. It's not really any better than that. Tanks don't typically have an invulnerable save unless they're some kind of a special vehicle. It has some kind of technology that gives it a force field or something, and that is what this does. Okay, that should be good. Builders asks, do you ever use a zip kicker? So the kicker thing, I think that's just for super glue, specifically for cyanoacrylate glue. I don't think they have that for plastic glue, just because it's a different kind of formulation. But to answer further, I don't typically use that for my super glue either. There are all sorts of really cool, like specifically hobby super glues. I just use basic Loctite generic, well, not generic, but sort of like all-purpose super glue for my models. And this stuff dries pretty quickly, or solidifies pretty quickly. So typically I don't need that, but I do know that, yes, a lot of people use the more hobby types of super glues that have that, where, yeah, you can get the glue, and then there are various things that they call it, an accelerator, the kicker, that you put the two things on, and once they hit together, it dries and solidifies much more quickly. Okay, so one option is we put on that thing, shield dome. Put that on for what the heck. All right, so that is one version of the Impulsor with the shield. Now, if we want to get rid of the shield and have the orbital comms array instead, we do that, and it looks like that. Now, if we want, instead of defense, we want to go more on offense. Oh, that's going to be a little tougher to get out of there. There we go. Then we get our turret piece. And then we can either put on... Ooh. Let's do it separately. So we have a missile launcher, the Bellicatus missile launcher. Or pop off the front, put that on, and it becomes an Iron Hail Sky Talon array. And there you have it. Those are all of the different versions of the Impulsor that you can build. Again, technically there are two different options for the sponson weapons, but because of the pain in the butt it would be to magnetize that, I just glued on this version because it looks cool. I would have to tell an opponent which version I'm using and hope that that person would be okay with it if I was using the opposite one. Which again, I'm only playing against cool people, so I'm not too worried about it. And yeah, and it's done. The build is done. Cool. Oh, and then magnetizes. Whoa. It floats. It hovers. It skims. Whatever you want to call it. Whee! Cool. I am very pleased with these these kits, the Impulsor and the Gladiator. Very straightforward. I didn't really have any problems. All the parts fit together really well. I'm very happy. Cool. I'm also happy finally to get this done. These have taken too long only because I haven't had time to build them when I wasn't on stream. But I am looking forward to getting back to some other stuff. I really want to do... I've got that Harkin World Claimer kit that I want to convert into something more Emperor's Children. So I am looking forward to that. I just have to dig through all my bits and figure out what parts I need for that. Especially if I'm going to use resin stuff, because then I got to clean the resin in advance and dry it. And it's not as easy with something like that to just grab the pieces and go. Especially to do it on stream, I got to do a little bit more prep work for something like that. Cool. Well, I have a million things I need to do today. I've got a big announcement coming soon, possibly today, maybe tomorrow. Just got to make sure the ink on the contract dries. But yeah, some big news coming up. Who is online now? Come on. Otherwise, as far as normal stuff, no Myths in Video Games this afternoon. It is starting up again later this month with Pete, but we're still on break for that. We'll let you know obviously when that happens. No stream tomorrow on Thursday, and I will be back on Friday to do something fun. I promise. Okay, let's see. Come on. Right, it's my WWE. My big WWE debut is coming up, but I can't talk about it. Oh man, this is taking so long. Okay, that's just not gonna happen from there. That's fine. We'll do it manually. We'll do it live. Maybe. Okay. Cool. We're going to do a raid for our good friend, Tiny Chris Games. See what she's up to. And... yeah. Yeah, I don't know if John is... I know he was moving and doing stuff, so I don't know if he's on a regular streaming... back to a regular streaming schedule or not. Usually we see him on Mondays and Wednesdays, but not this week. Ooh, I can attack. The Lang spider is going to eat the Impulsor. Chomp, chomp, chomp. I had to fix it. I broke it. I broke the, there's the one tendril up here. It snapped right there. And of course, the spider is actually connected to the web back here. So it doesn't actually hang from that. That would not be very good for the model, but yeah, that's fine. You won't be able to see it. Okay, go say hi to Tiny Chris, and I'll see everybody on Friday. Bye bye.